Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Spurs Up Show, best Gamecocks podcast on the internet. Today is Thursday, March the 18th, 2021. Today's show, we first start rounding up the midweek as the Gamecocks suffer a head-scratching 9-4 loss to the Davidson Wildcats. I'll talk about that game, break down its game. What does it mean for South Carolina? And, of course, we look ahead of the weekend because up next for the Gamecocks looming are the Vanderbilt Commodores. South Carolina traveling to Nashville, Tennessee to open SEC play as the Gamecocks take on Vandy. We'll break down the Commodores in their entirety, pitching, hitting. Of course, we'll talk USC, what to watch for, key player of the weekend. And again, I'll break down this series as the Gamecocks look to snap their 4-game losing streak and get off on the right foot in SEC play, guys. Also, we got your listener questions and a fantastic interview. Former Gamecocks defensive lineman Eric Sullivan joins the show, a friend of the show. We had him way back on in October of 2019. So great to get Eric back on the airwaves, guys. We've got a packed show here on a Thursday. And it's all brought to you by our friends over at Upstate Movers Group. Guys, Upstate Movers Group, superior moving service. They bring care and attention other companies can't offer because they're just too busy maintaining trucks and profiting off of them instead of focusing on service. Guys, service is what separates Upstate Movers Group from the competition. They're not a trucking company, by the way. They're a moving services company, and they're also employee-owned co-op. Guys, their movers are paid twice the industry average, and everyone on the crew is invested in your success. They have dedicated professional crew members, and they also offer black glove service. They offer end-to-end packing services, custom crating and packaging for special items, and cleaning services as well. They're founded by Greenville natives and University of South Carolina alumni, guys, so a Gamecock-owned small business. They also offer 20 years of project management moving experience, and they can offer logistics and solutions that traditional moving companies simply do not have the skills for. Guys, whether you're in the upstate or across the state of South Carolina, if you have any moving needs in 2021, be sure to check out our friends over at Upstate Movers Group. You can find them on social media at Upstate Movers Group. Of course, if you have any other questions, go to their website, upstatemoversgroup.com. That is upstatemoversgroup.com. Be sure to check them out and tell them Chris from the Spurs Up Show sent you. Guys, the show is also brought to you by our friends over at MyBookie. Guys, March is here. March Madness is officially here. Gets going tonight. The madness has officially begun, guys, and it's time for you to shoot your shot and score big on the nonstop action with MyBookie, guys. You can select the winners from 63 tournament games in the MyBookie bracket contest for a chance at $10,000 in cash prizes. And get this, it's only $1 to enter, guys. It doesn't matter whether you're filling out multiple brackets, betting the national championship winner, or simply looking for player and game props. MyBookie has you covered, guys. You can sign up today at mybookie.ag and use the promo code Gamecocks. That's promo code Gamecocks to secure a deposit bonus up to $1,000. And guys, again, make sure that you use my promo codes. They know that I hooked you up. Again, that's promo code Gamecocks to claim your first deposit bonus. Guys, everything from college ball, NBA, NHL, no matter the sport, no matter the minute, MyBookie puts the action in your hands with in-game live betting, and with choice from thousands of lines and odds, you can turn any game day into payday. Guys, bet anything, anytime, anywhere with MyBookie. Let's get it. Folks, as a good friend of mine once told me, momentum is a fickle mistress. And that describes pretty accurately how I feel right now about Gamecocks baseball. Folks, first things first, hope you're doing well. Happy Thursday. I'm Chris Phillips, host of the Spurs Up Show. As always, appreciate you guys tuning in. We have got a lot to get into here on a Thursday. Before we do, though, I want to start the show off on a positive note, a huge positive. Something really, really exciting. And I'll get straight to it. As you guys know, we were doing the Manscaped campaign for the business. Obviously the goal was to hit 10 promo code conversions with Manscaped through the manscaped.com website using the promo code TSUS. Got an email from Manscaped yesterday that we have officially hit the 10 promo code conversions. Manscaped will indeed be coming on to the Spurs Up Show as a full-time sponsor in a much bigger capacity. So guys, again, thank you all so much. Thank you for the love, for the support, for those who bought, for those who, supported in that way. Again, thank you so much. Obviously, I don't have to explain to you guys how this is huge news. This is massive news for the business, for the show, for everything we're doing. Again, to partner with a national brand. And again, I think Manscaped is kind of a perfect partner for me and for us in the sense of kind of what we do and the style and that sort of laid back, joking nature, if you will. But again, I wanted to start the show off on a positive note. Again, the manscaped.com campaign has been successful. We hit the 10 promo code conversions. Hey, with time to spare too, because it's March the 18th right now. We have had time to spare. Hell, we got 2 weeks left in the month and we already hit the 10 promo code conversion. So again, I just wanted to take a second, guys, to seriously, sincerely say thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. I'm extremely grateful. Again, this was really important to me. And again, it's something that I think and I know will be game-changing for the business and will be a really big deal for the business. And again, I think it's great to get this going now in the spring so we can build it up going into football season and we can really beef this thing up and so we can do some really awesome things because I've got some awesome plans already in the works for football season. So again, guys, I want to share that good news with you. Thank you guys so much. I will give you guys more details in regards to what this expanded partnership or what this partnership overall with Manscaped is going to look like. But again, sincerely, from the bottom of my heart, thank you guys. Thank you all so much. Stuff like this would not be possible without your love and support, obviously. And I think Manscaped was even extremely impressed with how quickly we hit the promo code conversions and just how many conversions we got in such a short amount of time. So again, guys, TSUS fans, the best fans on the internet of the best podcasts on the internet. But again, seriously, you guys are amazing. You guys are amazing. You guys are awesome. You guys are what make this thing go. So again, I cannot express how grateful, how thankful, how humbled I am. Again, thank you all so much for the love and support. And extremely excited to see where this takes us and excited to have Manscaped on as a full-time partner. Again, we'll talk about them more in a little bit, but let's go ahead, guys. Like I said, I wanted to start off on a positive because we're talking Gamecocks baseball right now. And like I said at the beginning, momentum is a fickle mistress. Isn't it crazy how quickly things can change in sports? Sure, but definitely in the game of baseball. You think back to a week ago today, we were flying high over South Carolina, getting a late inning win over the Citadel. You were 11-0, undefeated, going into a Texas series, all your dreams and aspirations still in front of you, which they still are, by the way. But, fans with dreams of Omaha and hell, going undefeated and being the number one team in the country and being a top 5 team and all that. Fast forward a week, and there are fans literally saying, this team won't sniff the postseason. This team is terrible. Fire Mark Kingston, all that jazz. And, of course, you guys know I'm leading into, we got to talk first about the midweek game before we get into this Vanderbilt series this weekend. And I'm not going to spend a ton of time on this midweek game, guys, because, again, I really do want to focus on SEC play beginning and that Vandy series because, again, it's a huge series. I don't have to stress to you guys how important it is and just how big it is to get SEC play going, especially in Nashville. But, again, Gamecocks falling last night, 9-4 to the Davidson Wildcats. And I'll tell you what, that was about as midweek a baseball game can get. A 4-hour baseball game. Absolutely brutal. And it started off well for South Carolina. Will Sanders threw a great first inning. You go up 1-0. I'm thinking to myself, okay, we're about to cruise. And that did not happen. After Will Sanders and then Danny Lloyd in the second inning, who held the Wildcats scoreless and hitless in those first 2 innings, your bullpen the rest of the way was basically a disaster. Shout out Parker Corn and Wesley Sweat at the end for, holding their own. But outside of that, you had a few guys that just completely struggled. Your lineup continues to be allergic to crooked numbers. You can't put up a crooked number for whatever reason. I don't think you had back-to-back hits on the entire night. And again, fans are sitting here scratching their heads wondering, what does it mean? Chris, what does this mean? I do want to start off first by saying this. Teams lose midweek games all of the time. We've literally seen it this week. Tuesday, Louisville lost to Eastern Kentucky. Florida got smacked by Florida State. We've seen Vandy lose. We've seen Tennessee lose. We've seen elite teams all over the country lose in midweek games. It happens. It does. And I'm going to be very honest and brutal about it. And I'm not making excuses, but I'm pointing out the facts when it comes to these midweek games. In a game like this, South Carolina-Davidson, South Carolina has basically nothing to gain in this game. Davidson has all to gain. Because if you're South Carolina, if you win, well, you were supposed to win. And if you lose, oh my God, it's a terrible loss. For Davidson, you're expected to lose. So if you lose, whatever. But if you win, hey, it's a great win for you. It's a great booster for your resume when it comes to the postseason. And when you get into a game like this where you're doing Johnny Holstaff and you're throwing a bunch of guys one inning and you know, maybe you're starting a lineup and playing guys that don't normally play in certain spots and you're not playing your best nine, if you will. No, not the guys that play, but if you're not playing your best nine, stuff like we saw last night can happen. It can. It happens all over the country, guys. It happens all over the country. We saw Arkansas lose to Oklahoma on Tuesday, and they threw, I think, maybe more pitchers than South Carolina did. I think the Gamecocks threw 9. I think they threw 11. So for those wondering about that Johnny Holstaff approach, I hate to break it to you, you're going to continue to see that. Because the midweek is the time to get guys experience, to get their feet wet. Listen, you have a lot of guys in the bullpen that want the ball, that want to pitch. You got to give them their opportunities at some point, guys. I'll tell you this, I'd rather guys go out there in the midweek and struggle than, you know, have to come out and throw an inning against Vandy and that be, you know, where we kind of learn what they are. You know, guys earn innings in the midweek. Those are their opportunities. And if you don't pitch well, you're not going to pitch on the weekend. Bottom line. Pretty simple. But with all that being said, I will say this. Again, you lose 9-4. And I know some people on social media were questioning the heart and the spirit and all that. And that's a slippery slope. Because, again, we're not in the locker room. We don't know these guys. I think it's easy to sit there behind the TV screen and say that. But I won't go that far. But I will say this. Because for every single college baseball coach and college baseball team, but especially the coaches, this is not just a South Carolina thing. This is a college baseball thing when it comes to these midweek games for these big schools. The toughest job for Mark Kingston, Skylar Meade, Stuart Lake, that entire staff, their number one job and their toughest job in these midweek games is keeping the guys locked in, keeping them focused, and keeping them fired up and ready to play. Because, listen, I've been there as a player. And, again, I wasn't at South Carolina, so I'd have to imagine it was even worse. But I've been there as a player in the midweek game where, you know, maybe I wasn't pitching or whatever, but I've been in the dugout for a midweek game. I've felt the difference in intensity and emotion and focus. It's a real thing. But my message to the team and the guys would be this. Because, again, your season's not over. You lost to Davidson in the midweek, so what? You go beat Vandy 2 out of 3. Who gives a damn? Who gives a damn? But with that being said, I'll say this. And I think the thing that separates college players from professional players and separates even the best pros, the major leaguers, from other professionals, is they are able to wake up and approach the game the same exact way every single day. Doesn't matter who they're playing. Doesn't matter what pitcher they're facing. Doesn't matter how they did last night. They're the same guy every single day. That consistency. And I would say this to the guys is, listen, I know it's Davidson. I know they were trash coming in. I know their ERA was garbage. I know their team's not very good, and they're not going to have a very good year. They're not a very good baseball team. They're not. Just call it for what it is. They're not a very good baseball team. So you can come out there and think you can just throw your glove out there, throw your helmet out there, and, you know, you're just going to roll over them and, oh, it's a little Davidson, whatever. And, you know, we're looking forward to Vandy. We just have to play this one. You know, every single baseball player, you get to put on the jersey so many times. You get to step on the field so many times. And especially that garnet and black, that Carolina jersey. You only get to do it so many times. You might think it lasts forever, but it doesn't. You can't take any day for granted. Because one day you won't get to put on that jersey again. So I don't give a damn if it's Vandy, if it's Davidson, if it's Clemson. You got to approach every single game the exact same way. And I'm sure Mark Kingston's telling them this exact message. But you got to approach every single game the exact way. And again, I'm not going to sit here and attribute, that they weren't fired up and they weren't motivated. Like, I'm not going to say that's the number one reason they lost. They just got flat out beat. It wasn't their night, did not execute. Your guys out of the bullpen threw like shit. You didn't swing it well. I mean, you just didn't have a good night. It was a miserable night of baseball. Bottom line. 4-hour game, too. Just absolutely brutal. But now, and again, we're going to move into this Vanderbilt series and talk about this. You've got to find a way to recapture that magic you had in the first 11 games of the season. Again, this is a brutal game, guys. I told you that after Texas, and I'll tell you that after this one. This is a brutal game. It will beat you down to your knees. It will make you beg for mercy. Right when you think you've got this game figured out, it will literally make you beg for mercy. It will make you start to question everything, all of the work you put in, all your mechanical stuff, all your mental approaches and thoughts. It will make you question everything. This team's got to find a way to get back to that magic it had in that first 11 games. And I think it can. But you've hit adversity. And I've told you guys, I want to see how this team responds to adversity. I do. Last night wasn't a good start. It really wasn't. Again, I thought that was a game that, listen, you just want to win in the midweek. You don't care if it's by a run or 10 runs, but I really thought that was a game that South kind of needed to flex its muscles a little bit and needed to have something to feel good about. Well, now you don't have that luxury. You've lost 4 in a row. And now you're going to take on the Vanderbilt Commodores. And without further ado, guys, let's go ahead because, again, I don't want to sit here and just ramble on that Davidson game. We all know it was bad. We all know it was brutal. Let's talk this weekend, the series against the Vanderbilt Commodores, the second-ranked Vanderbilt Commodores. South going to travel to Nashville, take on the Dores Friday at 7:30 on the SEC Network Plus, Saturday at noon on SEC Network on the big channel, and then Sunday at 2 on SEC Network Plus. Yet again, guys, of course, Vandy, the SEC East, their head coach, Tim Corbin, one of the best in the business. They were actually picked to finish second in the SEC East behind Florida. But again, most people expecting those two teams are going to duke it out, and two teams that will most likely be in Omaha this season. Vanderbilt, when you take a look at them, 13-2 overall in the season. They've lost 2 games this year. They lost over the weekend to Oklahoma State, and I believe they lost the Friday game to Georgia State. So they've lost 2 games in the year, 13-2 overall, but overall a pretty solid season for the Dores. And again, we got to talk about where it starts for them, and that is on the bump. Let's talk about the Vandy pitching, and it starts with the guys Kumar Rocker and Jack Leiter, which I think, guys, are the best 1-2 punch in the country, and I don't think it's even close. I don't think it's even debatable. I think they're arguably the best pitchers in the entire country. Again, Kumar Rocker and Jack Leiter, literally major leaguers at the college level right now. I will say this when it comes to pitching, I think the Gamecocks could get at Vandy's Sunday guy. He's by far the most susceptible, a 6 ERA. And again, it's got to be, I was thinking about this, it's got to be really tough to be that Sunday guy because you got Kumar Rocker and then Leiter, and you're like, God, what am I supposed to do for an encore? But overall, they do have a vulnerable Sunday guy. You just saw Oklahoma State, I think, score like 15 runs against him or something like that. So he can be hit around. But overall, a 2.52 team ERA. This is a star-studded Vanderbilt pitching staff. And let's talk about, guys, that starting rotation. And just listen to these numbers. On Friday night, the Gamecocks will see right-hand pitcher Kumar Rocker. He is 4-0 with a 0 ERA. On Saturday, the Gamecocks will see right-hand pitcher Jack Leiter. He is also 4-0 with a 0.45 ERA. And then on Sunday, they will see right-handed pitcher Thomas Schultz, who is 1-2 with a 6 ERA. So again, that combination of Rocker, Leiter, the best in the country, and it's not even close. Gamecocks hitters will have their hands full. Let's talk about the Vandy hitters on the flip side. A 323 team average, so they're swinging it well. 22 home runs overall. A 439 on-base percentage. And get this, guys, they love to run, too. 20 for 21 in stolen bases. So, again, they can do a little bit of everything. They got some pop. They got some power. They can steal. They've got speed. They've got athleticism. They can do it all. Kind of what you expect from a Vandy lineup. Let's talk players to watch for Vandy real quick, guys. We got to start with utility. Dominic Keegan leading the Dores in average, hitting 548. This dude is hitting 548. He is 17 for 31. Slugging 1.29. I mean, these are like Wes Clark numbers 2 weeks ago. slugging 1.29. He also has 4 homers and 15 ribbies. A utility guy for them, can kind of play everywhere, but Dominic Keegan's certainly going to be a tough out in that Vandy lineup. You got to move to infielder Carter Young, hitting .382, 4 home runs, 13 RBIs, a really good player for them. And then outfielder Enrique Bradfield Jr., hitting .357, 8 RBIs, 12 for 12 in stolen bases. And he's a true freshman. So a true freshman phenom for them. Again, a speedster. You got to keep him off the base pass if you're this Gamecocks pitching staff. 12 for 12 in stolen bases this season. Guys, let's move into USC and let's talk top storylines, what to watch for, all that good stuff. Again, of course, the Gamecocks rolling out there with the same weekend rotation with right-handed pitcher Thomas Farr, right-handed pitcher Brandon Jordan, and then the lefty, the southpaw Julian Bosnick. Now, what to watch for this weekend? Of course, the first thing, SEC play officially beginning. SEC play getting underway. Again, I know people complain and bitch and moan about, the Texas series and the non-conference, and they talk this and that. What can we take away from this and that? And everything that happened in the non-conference at this point. And that's all great and fine and dandy. But this is the baseball that matters. The SEC baseball, this is the baseball that matters. This is the best baseball in the country. And this is where, again, you are going to find out what type of team you have. Because, again, the gauntlet begins. You got Vandy this weekend on the road. You got Florida at home. You got Georgia on the road. And then you just keep going down the list. It's not going to get any easier. So, again, SEC play starting. And, again, I'm really, taking some of the bias out of it from just the college baseball fan perspective. I'm really excited to watch SEC baseball, unfold as a whole. Because, again, we didn't get SEC play last year. To watch the best in the business go up against each other. Weekend after weekend after weekend. It's just great series after great series after great series. But again, for this Gamecocks baseball team, listen, fans, it's not going to be pretty at times. It's not. It's just flat out not. I mean, I predicted for this team 16-14 in the SEC, and I said that would be a really good year. It's a gauntlet. And that's not making excuses, but it's just a fact. It is a gauntlet, and you're going to have to find a way to navigate it. Now, with that being said, how does this South Carolina team navigate it? How do they navigate it? Does the switch flip for them? Hell, I don't know. Does the switch flip for them? Does something happen where when SEC play gets going, the switch is flipped and this is a different team? I don't know. But again, SEC play beginning should be a lot of fun. And again, the best baseball in the country. I absolutely cannot wait to watch it. Of course, something else I'm watching for, guys, and again, this team currently, 4-game losing streak. You got swept by Texas, then you lose a midweek to Davidson. Ugly, ugly fashion, right? And, I talked about at the beginning, momentum's a fickle mistress. Because, excuse me, guys, it's crazy to think just a week ago to the day, how you were feeling about this team, this season, the prospects of this season, all that good stuff. Now, that mentality, at least in the fan base, completely flipped. What I'll be looking for is this, guys. Where is this team mentally? Where is this team mentally? Because, again, I do trust the leadership on this team. I trust the Brady Allens. I trust the Andrew Eisters. I trust the Wes Clarks. I trust the Thomas Farrs and the Brandon Jordans, the Brett Careys. I trust the leaders on this ball club. But, again, it could be really easy right now for a group of guys to beat themselves up and get down on themselves and say, oh, man, now we got to go play Vanderbilt. And, oh, they got these 2 great pitchers. And, man, they're just so good. They're ranked 2nd in the country. We don't even stand a chance. It'd be easy to allow that to happen. It'd be very easy to do so. Again, the game of baseball is about resiliency, overcoming, toughness. That's what it's about. That's the name of the game. It's a game of failure. Where is this team mentally? And how does it get back to, I think, where it was in those first 11 games? Again, I don't think this team is going to carry over anything from the Davidson loss. I really don't. I don't really know what happened. I cannot say for certain what happened other than you got beat. I don't know. But again, where is this team mentally? Do we see a team come out this weekend? Like I said, it looks like they flipped the switch and they've completely flushed the Texas and Davidson losses and they just, are kind of back to the ways we saw in the beginning of the season? Or do we see a team that looks like it is pressing? It is, getting outside of itself and doing too much and trying too hard and trying to force the issue? Do we see a team like that? I think that'll be really telling, not just even in the results. Because, hell, you could get swept this weekend, but if you play the right way, I'm going to be encouraged leaving the weekend. And I say that, and it's much easier to say that now than if that actually happens. But you guys, I think, understand what I'm saying. But I think it's going to be very easy to tell where this team is when it comes to the mental aspect. So let's move on, guys. Another thing I'll be watching for, of course, again, just from the baseball fan perspective, I wish this game was in Columbia because the Vandy power arms and especially Kumar Rocker and Jack Leiter, a combined 8-0. And again, guys, I'd say the two best in the entire country. These dudes are filthy. And again, I don't want to, blow them up and hype them up before South Carolina takes them on, but you're going to see some elite pitching this weekend, guys. There's no question. You're going to see, again, two guys that I don't know if they'll get there at the same time or when they'll get there. But these are two guys that it's just going to be, hey, who gets to the big leagues first? Because they're both going. They're both going, no question. Both these guys are going to be big league pitchers. There's absolutely no doubt. Again, Kumar Rocker, upper 90s with a fastball, probably the best slider in college baseball. And then you talk about Jack Leiter, a guy, again, upper 90s yet again. His demeanor, his moxie, and again, of course, his stuff is incredible. That helps too. But Kumar Rocker, Jack Leiter, I think the two best pitchers in college baseball. What do those power arms look like? And do they live up to the billing, I guess, if you will, when they take on South Carolina? Again, on that note, something else, of course, we're all watching for. What can your bats do against the nation's elite? What can they do? Again, I have almost this sick and twisted feeling that, we got swept against Texas. We lost to Davidson. So, of course, we're going to swing it really well and take 2 out of 3. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's so backwards. This game is so wacky. You never know what's going to happen. But in all seriousness, in a weekend where you expect runs to be at a premium, can your bats do enough? I mean, can you, again, we're talking about a guy in Kumar Rocker, guys. He hasn't allowed a run. This guy hadn't allowed a run. He's pitched 23 innings, given up 8 hits. He's given up 1 run, but it was unearned. And he has, oh, by the way, 34 strikeouts in 23 innings. Jack Leiter, 20 innings pitched, 7 hits, 2 runs, 1 earned, 33 strikeouts. So, I mean, again, both these guys are elite, period. Can your bats do enough? Can your bats just find a way? Can they find a way to scratch anything? Scratch and claw. What are the approaches like? Do we see guys shorten up, God forbid? Do you continue to keep the same approach? Or, again, do you shorten up? Do you try something different? I mean, again, I don't think there's going to be some wholesale mindset change going in this series, but you got to know the competition you're facing, without a doubt. You got to know who you're going up against, without a doubt. Can the bats give you anything this weekend? Again, another thing I'll be watching for, guys, on the pitching side of things. Let's move to the South Carolina side. And again, I said this last Friday when he went up against Ty Madden. I'll say it again this Friday going up against Kumar Rocker. What an opportunity for Thomas Farr. Again, this kind of reminds me of, when Blake Cooper went up against Friday guys every single weekend in the 2010 season and just shoved. He was always expected to get beat, always expected to lose. Went out there, held his own, shoved, and got the job done. And again, I'm not trying to compare Thomas Farr to Blake Cooper or this team to 2010, but you guys understand what I'm saying in the sense of Thomas Farr is kind of the overlooked guy in this game. Everybody's talking about, Rocker. We got to watch Rocker. What about Thomas Farr? Dude shoved last week in Austin. Shoved. Was incredible. Thomas Farr getting another opportunity to shine. Can he somehow, some way, first things first, can the offense give you enough? But can Thomas Farr go toe-to-toe with a undoubted top 5 pick and outduel him? Again, if you're Thomas Farr, that's got to fire you up. To have that type of opportunity, you're pitching on the biggest stage in the best conference. It'll be his first ever SEC game. You can't ask for anything more than that if you're Thomas Farr. Again, guys, the last thing I'll be watching for is this. And I talked about adversity, and I talked about overcoming in the game of baseball. And the question I have going in the weekend is this. Who is it? Who's the guy Who's the guy that brings South kind of out of this adversity? Who's the leader? You know, who is your leader that you can turn to and it's going to put their foot down and step up? Who's that going to? Is it going to be Brady Allen? Is it Wes Clark? Is it Farr? Is it Eister? Heck, I don't know. Who is it? Is there a guy in that locker room that commands that type of respect and commands that type of attention outside of Mark Kingston? Because, again, it's one thing hearing it from your coach. It's a whole different thing hearing it from a guy on your team, one of your peers. Whole different. Totally different. Does that guy exist? Is there a guy on this roster that can do it for you, that can bring this team out of the depths, that can bring this team and snap this team out of its funk and can snap this 4-game losing streak? That can, if nothing else, get this team playing baseball the way that it knows it can play. Again, guys, that's why I'm so, I see people, again, like I said, jump off the bandwagon and just completely go the polar opposite way with this club that, oh my God, they're terrible. Well, bro, they're not terrible. This is still the same team that went 11-0. It's still the same group of guys. It's the same group. But they've hit a snatch. They've hit a lull. They've hit a bump in the road. There's no other way to put it. But it's the same group of guys. It's the same group. What's changed? Is it mental? Is it trying to live up to some crazy numbers? Is it what is it? It's got to be mental, I would think. I mean, have the approaches changed, God forbid? What is it that's changed and who can fix it? Who can identify it and who can fix it? That's what I'll be intrigued to see. All right, guys, let's move into key player for the weekend. And I went back and forth on this. I think there's a lot of guys that need to have big weekends for you, bottom line. I mean, where do you want to start? You know what I mean? Where do you want to start of guys that need to perform well for you to have a chance in this one? But when I take a look at this series and we're talking about stars, right? We're talking about Jack Leiter. We're talking about Kumar Rocker. Or we're talking about, Dominic Keegan and Carter Young and Bradfield for Vandy. We're talking about star power. And I think to myself, who is the star that needs to step up and break out this weekend and have a big-time weekend for you? And it's obvious. It's Wes Clark. Again, did I expect him to hit 700 this year? No, I did not. Was his start to the season insane? Yes, it was. Has he cooled off since then? Yeah. I mean, it's not like he's swinging it terribly. He had a solo shot in the game, last night against Davidson. And he hit 10 home runs, by the way. He's already at double digits, which is incredible. Leading the country in home runs. But when you come into a series like this, and again, this is big-time SEC baseball, man. If you're going to beat a team like Vandy, you need special players to have special games and special weekends. Bottom line. Big-time players make big-time plays in big-time ball games. And Wes Clark sitting in your 3-hole needs to be that big-time player for you this weekend. Again, I'm not sitting here saying he needs to go 8 for 9 with 7 bombs. Nothing like that. But he needs to have one of those special weekends, 5 for 10 with 3 bombs. He needs to have one of those kind of weekends, I think. He needs to be the guy that I think shakes the bat rack up and leads the charge and gets this offense going. He needs to be that guy for you. So, Wes Clark for me again, key player for the weekend. You got a struggling lineup. Again, allergic to crooked numbers. We cannot put up a crooked number on the scoreboard to save our freaking life right now. I don't know what it is. Can't get back-to-back hits, can't get anything going. A guy like Wes Clark, I think, can be that spark plug. I think he can be that guy that starts things for you, that gets things going. And I think he's just flat out going to have to be. If you're going to have a chance this weekend, if you're going to have a chance to take 2 out of 3, and I won't say shock the college baseball world, but to pull an upset. I mean, it's definitely going to be an upset if you take 2 out of 3. A guy like Wes Clark's got to have a special weekend for you. So, again, my key player of the weekend is Wes Clark. And, guys, with that being said, that's going to wrap up my Vanderbilt series preview. Guys, my prediction will come tomorrow on tomorrow's show. So if you're wondering where that's at, tomorrow's podcast, I'll continue to break down this Vandy series even more in depth, and I will give my official prediction as the Gamecocks begin SEC play in Nashville. All right, let's get in your listener questions, guys, and then we have a fantastic interview. Just have two questions here. JK Gill 34 says, rocker lighter with the facepalm emoji. I hear you, man. It's going to be tough. I hear you. Timmy Clark 21 says, what are the odds we sweep Vandy? The odds that we sweep Vandy? Probably 10%. And that might be a little nice. I don't know. Maybe 5%. I mean, dude, if you were to take 2 out of 3 from Vandy, it'd be a huge upset. Let's leave it at that. So, but hey, you never know. That's why they play. Baseball's a crazy game. You never know what might could happen. So, with that being said, guys, appreciate y'all tuning in. We got a fantastic interview, former Gamecocks defensive lineman Eric Sullivan. Like I said, Eric, a friend of the show, he was on way back October of 2019. So, of course, had to get him on for a return visit. We talked everything from his career at South Carolina, playing for Sparky Woods, playing for Brad Scott, winning the CarQuest Bowl in 95, him being an all-SEC guy. Of course, the hiring of Shane Beamer, his thoughts on the program, spring practice, all that stuff, guys. We got a fantastic interview lined up for you guys, and it's all brought to you by our friends over at Manscaped. And, guys, I'm very happy to say that support for the Spurs Up Show is presented to you by Manscaped, who's the best in men's below-the-waist grooming. Guys, Manscaped offers precision-engineered tools for your family jewels, and guys, they obsess over their technology developments to provide you the best tools for your grooming experience. Guys, Manscaped is trusted by over 2 million men worldwide, including yours truly. And guys, we have an exclusive offer for my listeners. Get this, 20% off plus free shipping with the promo code TSUS. Again, 20% off plus free shipping with the promo code TSUS at manscaped.com. And guys, Manscaped hooked me up with a bunch of tools and formulations from their Perfect Package 3.0 kit. Again, that is the best bang for your buck. That is the best value. I've had a lot of people ask me, Chris, what should I buy on Manscaped? Again, if you really want to treat yourself, get that Perfect Package 3.0 kit. Because again, we've all been there, right? We've cut ourselves, we nick ourselves, we've bled, we've burned. When you're down there and you're trimming and you're cutting your balls and you're doing your thing and maybe you're getting ready for the night, or hey, I don't know, maybe your girl's coming over, or you're trying to have a special night with the wifey, or you're just trying to take care of yourself. There's nothing worse than when that happens. When you get a cut, when you get a nick, it's just awful. Just completely ruins your day. Guys, never again. Manscaped has created the best ball hair trimmer ever, the Lawn Mower 3.0. Guys, their third-generation trimmer features a cutting-edge ceramic blade to reduce grooming accidents thanks to their advanced skin-safe technology. Guys, I now feel confident in shaving my boys. And one of the reasons I feel so confident, guys, is because this trimmer has a freaking LED light on it. A damn flashlight for a more precise shave. And it's waterproof to make your shower shave clean and easy. And guys, of course, it's 2021. I shouldn't have to say this, but don't use the same trimmer that you use on your face as your balls. That's just disgusting. Honestly, it's just gross. I don't know what else to say. It's just nasty. Hey, but if you want to do so, if you want to purchase from Manscaped and do it, you be my guest, but don't do that. The Lawnmower 3.0, guys, it comes inside their brand new Perfect Package 3.0, which comes with everything you need to keep trimmed, cut-free, and smelling nice, guy down there. And guys, the Manscaped Perfect Package 3.0 also includes the Crop Preserver and anti-chafing ball deodorant moisturizer. Guys, you already put deodorant on your armpits. Why are you not putting deodorant on the smelliest part of your body? And guys, of course, yes, your balls do stink. They need something. And speaking of sweaty and stinky balls, by the way, I'm thankful for the Crop Reviver. This product, along with the Crop Preserver, keeps your balls from sweating, smelling, and sticking. Guys, Manscaped also threw in 2 free gifts into their perfect package, a pair of high-performance Manscaped boxer briefs that'll keep your junk feeling fresh all day, and a travel shed bag, which is probably my favorite item, honestly. But a travel shed bag to store all your grooming goodies, guys. Trim that junk of yours, guys. You get 20% off and free shipping with the promo code TSUS at manscaped.com. Guys, again, that's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com. And be sure to use my promo code TSUS, guys. Your balls will thank you. Unlock your confidence and always use the right tools for the job with Manscaped. Again, guys, appreciate you all tuning in. Now, enjoy this interview with former Gamecocks defensive lineman Eric Sullivan. All right, joining us in the Spurs Up Show is a man that played for Gamecocks football from 1992 to 1995. During his career, he had 157 career tackles, 16 tackles for loss, 12 sacks. He was named freshman All-SEC in 1992, second team All-SEC in 1995, and team MVP in 1995. And, of course, guys, he was part of the team that helped South Carolina win its first ever bowl game in school history. Who could forget that CardQuest Bowl win against West Virginia? Very pleased to be joined. And also, friend of the show, we had him way back in October of 2019, former Gamecocks defensive lineman Eric Sullivan. Eric, I appreciate you taking the time, man. It's a pleasure to have you on once again, my friend. Appreciate it.
No problem, Chris. Good to be with you, man.
Yeah, so Eric, I know obviously we broke down your career a decent amount last time you were on, but I do want to start back from the beginning because, again, you got to South Carolina at a really interesting time. The Gamecocks had just joined the SEC, and you're an in-state guy. You're from Lawrence, South Carolina. Talk about the recruiting process, what made South Carolina stand out, and why'd you choose to be a Gamecock?
Well, number one, being in state, and like I was telling you off air, I had family that played here, and it really it came down to wanting to play in the SEC. And so at that point, my final three were South Carolina, Georgia, and North Carolina State. Georgia is what they were then. Right. I mean, they're still good, and NC State, I developed a good relationship with Miles Aldridge, who was at that time the linebacker coach at NC State. And I was an inside linebacker coming out of high school. I was like, 245, 250, I had a decent 40 time and loved to hit people. So that was my position, So me and him, we had a good relationship going. And during the recruitment, he ended up leaving North Carolina State and coming to South Carolina. So that was a plus for South Carolina. And then as we got further into recruiting, found out that Georgia really, really wanted me to play offensive line and not defense. Which I did that in high school. I went both ways. I was offensive guard and I was inside linebacker, defensive lineman partly. So once I found that out with Georgia, it was pretty much NC State, South Carolina. And, I was like, hey, I'm an hour down the road. I want mom to come everywhere. So, Gamecocks it is.
Now, like I said, South Carolina had just joined the SEC. Eric, I'm curious, was there much allure? Like, obviously now it's like the SEC, the big bad SEC, by far the best conference in the country. Like, I feel like that's something that more so recently happened, like after 2000. Was that the case back in the 90s where you felt like was that, I guess, kids are choosing school just to play in the SEC? Like, was that a thing for you too, where you're like the opportunity to play SEC ball?
It was just kind of starting, to be honest with you. This is when, I wish I had Chris Alford with me because he's my historian. He just got all the names. It's two defensive tackles for Alabama in 92. And they were just like terrorizing the whole daggone league. So, I mean, it was Florida was coming up, of course, with Spurrier just getting in. So everything was starting to pick up. Tennessee was always good. And I had a cousin who was a Tennessee fan. So I was pretty versed in the SEC already and knew that it was one of the best conferences. And then being down the road from Clemson, it was just funny that they didn't recruit me until the very end of the process. I had the coaches came in just like frantic and was like, hey, we don't know how you slipped under our radar, but can you come for a visit? I was like, sure, I'll come, but I'm pretty locked in with these three guys over here. So, that's just kind of how it went down. But yeah, the SEC was starting to become that animal. So it was in the back of my mind playing in the SEC, because that's starting to be one of the major conferences out here. So, yeah.
And you were named freshman All-SEC in 1992, Eric. Obviously had a really good season. I'm curious, did you play – because I'm seeing defensive line on the Gamecock Archives website, which, by the way, shout out to those guys because I get a lot of my stats and all that from them.
He's been doing that a long time.
Yeah, for sure. But I see you were a defensive lineman, 6'3", 230, though. How did you manage at that weight? You bigger than that? Okay, I was like,
I was bigger than that. I was probably 255.
Okay, so you put on some
graduating high school over that summer, and then when I got in the fall camp at that weight, that was the first discussion was, hey, we may move you to outside. But my whole freshman campaign for that summer, I was an inside linebacker. I mean, I was 260 pounds and still running around there playing inside linebacker. So I was locked in. I was like, hey, this is what I am. I'll lose the weight eventually, And then first game against Georgia, I stood on the sidelines and watched Garrison Hurst run a track meet because, we had a lot of inside linebackers. And then one of our outside linebackers got hurt that game. And so that Georgia game, I think, was the only game that I was able to play in that I didn't play in. And so then the next week, coach was like, well, we need some bodies outside linebacker. You're a little bit bigger. Would you mind moving out there? And I was like, hey, whatever. Can I get on the field? And he's like, sure. You're going to play half the game. And I was like, all right, let's move. And so I did outside linebacker for like a game or two. And then one of our tackles got hurt. So it was kind of the same situation. The outside linebacker came back. A tackle was hurt. He was like, would you consider playing tackle? I was like, I played D-line in high school and before, so whatever. Can I get on the field? That's all I want to know is, can I get on the field? And so, I moved down to tackle, and I did that my whole freshman year. And I probably played that whole year at about 260-ish. By the time everything, sussed out with losing weight during the season and all that, I probably was about 260 for that whole season. And then the next year, Cedric Bembry, who was our nose guard, lost him last year, rest in peace. But he graduated. And so coach was like, hey, you're putting on weight, you play low, you're quick, you get under people. He's like, would you mind moving down to tackle? And at that time we were in a 5-man front. So it was pretty much a, 4-3 kind of look, but not a 4-3, a 3-4 kind of look, but it was that 50 front that everybody used to use.
And it sounds like to me you just wanted to get on the field. Like you didn't.
I just want to be on the field.
Yeah, you didn't care how it was. You just wanted to be making an impact.
At that point, South Carolina could switch me to offense, and I probably would have did it because I just wanted to get on the field. I never wanted to stand on the sideline like I did at Georgia game and watch people run up and down the field. So I ended up playing nose guard, and I was like, coach was like, "Do you like that?" And I was like, "I just like to play." The double. He's like,
hit people, coach.
So that was a thing for me, and I kind of take that with me. And so I used that when I was coaching. I had guys that would come in, they were small as coach. I'd never be able to go, D1 because I'm small. And I was like, dude, I was 6'2", 270 pounds playing nose guard in the SEC, taking on 320-pound linemen 2 at a time. So don't tell me what you can and can't do,
No, for sure. I love it. I got to ask you about, since you were there during that time, 92, obviously, a freshman phenom by the name of Steve Tannehill took over at quarterback, and I guess sort of the rest is history.
Yeah.
What was the vibe, I guess, around the team like? Because we've seen it. I definitely think recently. I mean, I think back to when Steven Garcia took over as the starter. Even heck, Luke Doty when he was injected last year, and just that position. It's the most important position in football. You could certainly argue. I'd say it is, and it can just change the entire vibe and mood of a team. And just talk about like the energy and the spark that Tannehill brought to you guys.
Yeah. But first of all, that's my guy right there. So we joke all the time, and I tell him all the time that it didn't have nothing to do with him. It was all me, because that was that same game that he got his first start as a freshman. I also got my first start as a freshman.
There you go.
So I always joke with him that it had nothing to do with him. It was me. But no, that offensive position, that quarterback position, man, it is a vital position. So having energy and someone that's confident and knows what they're doing, or even if they don't know what they're doing, they can make you think they know what they're doing. It just gives you a different vibe. And, Steve was like me. I mean, we were coming in playing off pure talent, and he knew the offense, but I wouldn't say he was 100% the best at being the technician of the offense. But one thing he did is when he walked in the huddle, he was like, all right, guys, this is what we're going to do. We're going to go out and field score. Here we go. And everybody looked at him like, what the hell? Let's go. All right, let's play. He didn't throw the prettiest football, but he put it where it was supposed to be. He had guys like Toby Cates and Don Chaney and, those guys that would go out there and get it and then make something happen when they caught it. So, just those things, just knowing where to put the ball and injecting that confidence in people, injecting that enthusiasm, running around, hitting home runs and signing your name in the field and, talking junk to all other players. I mean, that was just him. And it energized the team, for lack of a better term.
Corey Bridges, also friend of the show. He had to throw.
Yes, sir. That's my boy.
Yeah, I always see Corey on Instagram. We've had him on for sure. Awesome guy. But
now that right there, that is one of the funniest dudes I've ever met in my life.
Yeah, Corey's a character. Corey is a character for sure. Now you played for Brad Lawing, correct? Was he there? Yeah. So, and I've been fortunate enough. I had Coach Lawing in studio last football season. I mean, that is a walking legend, no question. That dude, I feel like I know a decent amount about football, but you talk to him, and that dude is a mad scientist when it comes to pass rush. Like I never knew.
Spout out more than you'll ever know.
I never knew how much went into creating a pass rush. And you talk to him, and it is a literal science. And he knows how to put guys in certain positions and twist them and matchups. And, like, I'm like, how could you not get better playing for a guy like this? Like, what was your experience like playing for Coach Loring at that point?
Coach Loring, I'll tell you this. Coach Loring's one of those guys, you love him or you hate him. You know, he's going to be tough on you. He's going to yell. He's going to scream. He's going to cuss, whatever. But he's gonna drill in you what he wants in you, and whether you receive it or not, that's up to you. I mean, there's guys I played with that if you say his name, they'll be like, "Oh God, I don't like that man." But at the same time, none of them can deny what he taught us. I mean, he would have you in there looking at film, and he'd be like, "Watch that guy's pinky finger on his right hand. It'll dig in the ground when he's gonna move forward, or he'll lean back and to the left when he's gonna, he just give you all these little clues and keys, and if you ever ask him about joint manipulation, oh my God.
Oh yeah, he talked about that. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So
putting it right here in the side, like right, getting right. Yeah,
the elbows, popping the elbows, moving the shoulders. He actually brought in a judo teacher and had us take, like, he taught us hand movements and how to use your opponent's body weight and momentum. And so a lot of people don't realize all that type stuff plays into being a defensive lineman, but he was able to put all that together, and kind of give it to you in a way that if you picked it up, you could use that stuff. And even when I coached, a lot of what I taught my guys is what he taught me.
Yeah, for sure. Coach Loring's a legend. Like I said, I know a lot of fans want him to come back. I'm like, I think he's happily retired on Lake Murray.
Yeah. He's chilling out on Lake Murray. He's all right.
he coached a lot of football. I think he's well deserved just hanging out, chilling. So, definitely a mad scientist in his own right. I want to talk to you about the coaching change that happened while you were in Columbia. Obviously, from Sparky Woods to Brad Scott. I know, obviously, at that point, you were very well entrenched in Columbia and kind of made a name for yourself. But just talk about, obviously, the adjustment. Because, of course, we're seeing South Carolina right now. Anytime there's a coaching change, there's a culture shift. There's, and some guys are maybe left uncertain of what their role is in the team and, how that staff's going to feel about them. But overall, Brad Scott came in and did good things. What was the transition like for you, I guess?
It was tough. The biggest thing for us was the fact that it wasn't your coach. I was fortunate enough to have Coach Loring stay over. So my position coach didn't change, but, you're dealing with a whole different style of leadership. I mean, he was coming from Florida State, and it kind of felt like he wanted to make us Florida State north a little bit. So it was like FSU North, and he came in with the heavy hand and, I'm going to clean this thing up, and was getting rid of people. And we're over here like, oh, coach, wait a minute. You can't get rid of everybody. We don't have that depth of talent like that, and then you had, like you said, those guys that kind of felt like they got left behind or whatever and, didn't play much. I had situations where I would be on the field. If we played 70 defensive snaps, I played 50 of them, just because the guy behind me, they really, might have had some issues with, or, political things, or didn't like him as much, or whatever the case might be. It wasn't because he couldn't play, because he could, so we had these signals, I look at him, he look at me, and I wave my hand and I run off the field. And he run on, and there's nothing they could do about it, but it was those type things that you find you get a little bit of favoritism. Like, everybody talks about the Will Muschamp and how it seemed like he played favorite guys. Well, that happens in a coaching change.
Yeah.
So when he came in, of course, you get your guys and you bring them in and you want to play your guys, and you kind of lose sight of doing things that's best for the team. And this guy over here, he's not my guy, but he might be the best guy to play right now. And so instead of doing that, you use your guy that you brought in, that you promised. So those are things going through a coaching change that kind of make it hard to, I would say, grasp it and excel, I guess.
Now, Eric, switching gears a little bit, because obviously one of the most memorable games during your career was '93. Brandon Bennett at the top at Georgia. And I'm sure that was neat for you in the sense of they recruited you and then you go there and you beat them. But I want to switch gears on the question a little bit, because we all know it was crazy. It was pandemonium. We've all heard the call a million times. But how much fun, I guess, was it going up against Brandon Bennett in practice? Because I feel like he's one of those guys, and I've had Bennett on the show, and again, that's another character. And I love following him on Instagram. He's so funny and I don't know, positive and upbeat and everything.
Oh yeah,
his training and all that. But I feel like he's one of those guys, we talk about the Lattimores and the Mike Davises and even like the Kevin Harrises and the Deuce Staleys and whoever, but Brandon Bennett's name, he's one of those guys that deserves to be up there. He's
and
one of those big-time guys. Yeah.
Yeah, people don't realize how long, Brandon actually, went and played in the league for years.
Yeah.
Bounced around to a few teams, but he's definitely one of those guys, man. He was one, we hung out pretty tight. We were, we had some tight-knit groups within the team. And, Brandon was one, being from Greenville. We were both in upstate. So we hung out pretty tight together. But great guy. I mean, one of the best friends you could have. I still like if I call him and need anything, he's one that's willing to do it. But as far as just being that talented running back, I mean, if he had the top end speed, he would have set records. I mean, because the toughness, those tough yards, he was shiftier than he looked when he was in the line. He was stronger than he looked when he was in the line. So, those days in practice between him and between his quickness and running style, and then turning around and getting Stanley Pritchard with the thunder thighs and the high knee kicks, it was rough in practice making tackles.
Yeah, I was going to say, did you guys have any one-on-one, like mano-y-mano you can recall?
I think I had a couple. I might have had a few with Stan because he did more inside runs, but Brandon, I don't remember. He didn't take too many hits in practice. Now Brandon was he's a good guy, but Brandon's also a pretty boy. He's also a pretty boy. He ain't taking no hits in practice now. He tell you real quick.
Oh, there it is.
So it was a thud. We had to stay up and give him the thud and let him run on down the field.
He's like the Booby Miles. He's like the Booby Miles.
Yeah. I mean, it got competitive in practice. Of course, we hit him and we tackled and all that stuff. But I don't think I had any mano-a-mano moments with him. Not many of the running backs, because a lot of times when I'm hitting them, they're coming up in the line, so it's a lot of contact.
Yeah, no, for sure. Well, I want to move to, of course, fans love to relive the Clemson games while you were at South Carolina, and of course, that heated rivalry, and we talk about it. Obviously, relive the glory days. But 92 and 94, like we were talking about off air, you went 500 against them, but beat them both times in Death Valley, which I think has got to be extra sweet. I mean, it's fun to beat an opponent at your place, and it's fun to beat Clemson anywhere. But when you can go to their house and shut up their fans, and it's just got that extra juice to it. Just talk about the 92 and 94 games, and I guess which one stands out as your favorite? Because both of them are very memorable for different reasons.
94 has to stand out as the favorite one.
Because y'all kicked their ass in 94, right? Like that
we did, and it was more of it. It was just everything that you just mentioned was in that game.
Yeah.
So before the game, you had their defensive lineman had gotten a hold of Tannehill's phone number. They were calling him. Somebody at the hotel knew one of the Clemson players and told him what room he was in, and they was bothering him all day and all night. I mean, it was that type of stuff going on. And then we got to the game. And of course, at Clemson, the fans are like literally right on top of the team. And so we were getting it from everybody in the first 5 rows, the whole game. I mean, it was like they were giving it to us. And as we started to win, it was funny because every time we came back to the bench and turned around, it was one less fan up there giving it to us. And so by the end of the game, we turned around, it was like one guy up there. We just threw our hands up and he just shook his head like, I don't know, man. I can't. nothing else I can say. And then of course, just the way we played that game and beat them down. It was really a good thing. It was really a good thing. But I think that one had to be the most fun one.
For sure, Eric. You closed out your South Carolina career in excellent fashion. Again, 1995, second team All SEC, team MVP. You won the first bowl game in school history. I mean, I feel like you couldn't draw up a better senior season.
Yeah. The only thing I could say would have made it better is if before my senior season, a lot of people don't even really know, but I had a heart dysrhythmia.
Oh,
and so I had basically had fibers in my heart that was sending out signals at the wrong time. So before my senior season, I went through the whole first session of training. Most of the second session, I was probably in the best shape I had been in. I was like 6'2", maybe 275-ish. Under 10, right around 10% body fat or less, and just dropped in workouts one day, just literally passed out. And the doctor was like, "Hey, that your body literally shut down to keep from dying." And so I missed the first game and a half, I think it was. So I literally probably should have redshirted that year, but I came back, played 8.5 games. I think I still had 8 sacks that year, 30 tackles or so, somewhere in that 30, 35 range. And so that, it was a great senior year. And then, like I said, coming off of the bowl win and being able to do that and doing it with a group of guys that you liked and loved. Also had one of Stacey Evans, who, we were from the same hometown, playing on the line together and winning the first bowl game ever. And it should have been one more guy from Lawrence there, but he didn't quite make it. He ended up going to Cincinnati. It was a lot of special moments in there, I would say.
Yeah, I was just going to say your senior stats, man. You had 50 total tackles, 4 tackles for loss, and 8 sacks, and 8 quarterback hurries on that year.
And that was 8.5 games. That
in a season you said you should not have played. So that is
shouldn't have.
Not too shabby at all. Is it crazy? Was it crazy for you guys to think in the moment, like, wow, we just won the first ever bowl game? Like, I feel like that had to be kind of surreal almost.
It was. I mean, especially coming back, because when we got back to Columbia, you would have thought it was a national championship game. I mean, literally, because these guys the fans had been through so many bowl games that the team should have won and just lost for whatever reason, that they were just like, oh, it's a bowl game. We'll go, we'll play, we'll lose, whatever. And that's how it was. And I mean, we came back to the airport. It was, 5 deep on the fence. I mean, it would escort all the way back to the dorms. I mean, it was ridiculously crazy for like 3 months after that. Matter of fact, that's actually that January when I met my wife.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yep. Somebody had a party for us in a local club down there, and she was with she came in with a young lady that I grew up with, and we met that night. So
what do you know? Hey, everything happens for a reason.
Everything for a reason. Dude.
Everything happens for a reason, for sure. I want to ask you your career after South Carolina, Eric. Obviously, it sounds like, again, you said you shouldn't even played your senior year. How much did that affect, I guess, your dreams and aspirations of playing professional football?
It was one of the first questions I got when talking with the pro scouts. I still had my knee. Of course, my knee's always been bad.
Yeah.
But even with that, I mean, I was probably 284 when I ran for scouts. Still ran a 4.8 on a bad knee.
4.8 as a D lineman. That's pretty good.
Yeah. I still ran, I think it was like a 4.8, something crazy like that. But still, it was under 4.9 and I was 284 pounds.
Yeah, that's getting it. I
still had pretty decent movement. My quickness drills, my lateral stuff was a little bit off because of my knee, but I think I had some interest, Chicago, San Diego, and a couple other people, but the heart question was the first question I got. So I think that year there was probably like 20-something defensive linemen in the draft, and then we all pretty much, there were, 10 or so better than me, 8 or so not as good as me.
Right.
So it was a crapshoot. And then, it's easier to say, well, hey, all these 10 guys are better. So, let's get them. He may or may not have heart issues lingering. So I think that really kind of put a damper on it.
Right. For sure. I want to ask you, Eric, because I know you'd agree when you're building a program, I really think you've got to pay respect to the people that came before you, because without them, the program wouldn't be what it is at that point. But I'm curious to get your take again. You guys took the program to a new height by winning a bowl game. And then you see, as a proud alumni, you see Lou Holtz get hired. You see them win back-to-back Outback Bowls. Then you see Steve Spurrier and do what he did. Like how awesome, but also how just crazy was it for you watching that? And I mean, I think we were all sitting there thinking the same thing when the program, when it was under its height, some Spurrier from 10 to 13, we're all like, wow, like this is – a lot of people thought the program would never get to a point like that.
Yeah. And I'll say that I think that the Lou years, even though the records may not have been the same, they might not have got to the 11 wins, but those teams that he had back then, I think were just as good as those 11-3 teams that Spurrier had.
Yeah.
So I think that if there could have been some way of Lou and then continuation into Spurrier, we'd be at a whole different level right now than what we are. I think with the drop off, it kind of went like a mountain. I mean, you went up with Lou and came back down, and then you went up with Spurrier and came back down, and it didn't quite start climbing with Muschamp. So, hopefully Beamer can take it back up there. I mean, we know it can be done, and I think that the good thing is for recruiting purposes, the athletes can look back and see, okay, well, they may not have the history of a, Southern Cal or anybody else like that, but at the same time, they can look back and see, okay, if I go here and I get enough guys with me, we can do this thing here at South Carolina. So I think that was good to show people that, it can be done here.
Right. And on that note, of course, everybody wants to talk about Shane Beamer, obviously a new era beginning. Of course, spring practice literally starting Saturday. It's crazy that that football is back in South Carolina. But, overall, your thoughts on Shane Beamer? I'm not sure. Have you ever gotten the chance to meet him or anything? Or, what's your thoughts on that hire? Because, again, I know a lot of names were thrown out there, like the Billy Napiers and the Hugh Freezes. And, I think we were all really happy that South Carolina, one, gave one of its own a chance. And two, I was just really happy that we thought outside of the box a little bit. You know what I mean? Didn't go with just that. Like, hiring Hugh Freeze would have just been so painfully typical.
It would.
Yeah, and South kind of goes and gives one of its own a chance. And I think everybody's seeing, on social media and the way things are going, the culture's already improved. Things are already better. The vibe around the program's already better. Your overall thoughts, though, on that hiring, and I guess what you're most looking forward to from the Shane Beamer era?
I was actually happy to have I won't say newer coach, but I guess one that, a fresh approach. So in that aspect, I love the Beamer hire. Of course, I was a little biased. My D-line mate, Chris Rump, is who I really wanted.
Right.
But at the same time, I'm not disappointed with the Beamer hire. I think having him, a younger, hungry coach, someone that's been building towards this, and this has been one of the jobs that he wanted to come back to. He's been here before. He's got an idea of what to expect as far as, administration and things like that. And I think just the energy, man, I'm just looking forward to have somebody back out there giving that energy and coming into the media room and not giving us the coach speak, they're actually coming in and telling us, hey, we played like crap, we're doing better. This is happening, X, Y, Z, and letting you talk to the players and the coaches and opening things back up. And, even just the other day, I just got a letter. They're doing a Rooster Roundup, basically getting back with all the old football players, not just alumni in general, but he is actually wanting to focus on us, which is what we've always asked for. So I think it was a good hire. I think that he's pumped some energy into the kids. I think we have some great talent on that team, and people look at me crazy every time I say it, but as I go down the list, even just take the defensive lineman. I mean, since that's my position, just look at the guys on that roster when you go down that list. I mean, we got, a couple of 5 stars in there, a bunch of 4s and some 3s that probably should be 4s. So when you look at what he recruited, Muschamp-wise, he did good. So hopefully Beamer can come in and his staff and put that energy in and put a plan in place and get these guys playing at full potential.
Yeah, I definitely think we all believe that there is talent on the roster. Again, is it of the level to compete with Georgia and Alabama and go win an SEC title? Maybe not, but I think there's enough talent on that roster to realistically compete from year one. I want to get your take on this because, again, like I said, spring football, spring practice is literally getting going on Saturday, and it's crazy, Eric, because I think that this time last year, we were in the midst of the COVID and the pandemic. I'm just excited for spring practice. I mean, the fact we're going to talk spring practice and get to see it and get a spring game, and, that's very exciting to me, and I know to all of us as well. We're talking on Wednesday, and I dropped my show kind of just talking about my top storylines that I'm looking forward to going into spring ball. Overall for you, I mean, I know we're really not going to get to be behind the scenes, so it's really hard to pull things, I guess, from spring practice and the spring game as a whole. But is there anything for you specifically that you'll be watching for that you want to see? Kind of because again, the Shane Beamer era is going to get going. This is, we've seen all the workout videos and the hype videos and talking the talk on social media, but now you get on the field. Pads are going to start popping. This is where you really start to build that culture you've been talking about. Is there anything specific, I guess, you're looking for this spring from Carolina football?
Honestly, I want to see how Marshawn Lloyd recovers. I think that's going to be big for us, having him along with Kevin Harris. And then, of course, you want to see how the quarterbacks command the team. I mean, you're not going to be able to tell from spring ball because they're not going to show you enough to know, if they're going to be able to do it. But you'll be able to see, do they have command of the team? Does the team follow both guys or all 3 guys? Can they execute it to a standpoint of making the plays, making the throws, making the right decisions? You can tell that stuff from a spring game. You can see where the guys will be, good enough to at least make you productive. on the field. So definitely that quarterback spot. The running back spot, just because of Marshawn recovering. I mean, we already know what we got with Kevin Harris. I feel like he's going to give us another 1,000-yard season if you give him the ball, so just give it to him. But that quarterback position, definitely. And then, of course, the secondary. I mean, it got decimated. So, between the guys leaving, really your only two guys that were consistent, as much as, we talk about Mukwamu and but him and Horn were the most consistent guys, and they're gone. And then, John Dixon was one that I liked, and he's gone. Yep. So I mean,
and Jimmy.
Seeing how the new guys come in, and Jamie, seeing how all those new guys come in, and if they can put them together and get them to gel, because I think our front end is going to be good.
Yeah, for sure. Like I said, I know we're all looking forward to it. And it's so funny because people love to pick apart the spring game. And I've told people for the longest time, it's like, dude, watch it, enjoy it. Don't take anything from it. Like every year there's a spring game stand. And man, from playing, there's a spring game standout that, with all due respect, probably won't even see the field. Probably
you never see him again. Every year it's like, what happened to this guy?
Yeah.
And you never see him. It's like, and they disappear. And they, it's like, can he get at least a play? I mean, what's going on? This guy was catching all the balls in spring game, and now he's not catching anything. Who was it? Guys, about 3 years ago. And he did actually end up playing in games and catching some balls. Matrick, is it Belton?
Belton. Yeah, Matrick Belton.
Man, he had a spring game, and I mean, it was like Belton, Matrick Belton. Like, who the hell is Matrick Belton? Then you didn't see him for like 6 games, and all of a sudden he caught a couple of balls. I was like, oh, there he is.
Yeah, you got to love it. Eric, this has been a blast, man. I'm so glad we were able to get you back on. And I'll leave you with this, by the way. I know I was joking with you off air that I really do appreciate you when you jump into the Twitter and the Facebook war. So I'll leave you with this. I'm still not a Fire Frank Martin guy, believe it or not. So for anybody,
I only listen to the show, so what do I know?
Yeah, for the people that need clarification, I'm still not a Fire Frank Martin guy.
And you know what? I'll get off of here and log on to Facebook, and somebody will be in there and say, Chris Phillips said, fire Frank Martin.
Yeah, no, it is what it is. But like I said, I know we're all looking forward to spring ball and the Beamer era, and it should be a lot of fun. But Eric, this has been a blast, man. I appreciate you taking the time. And
hey, man, anytime. Just let me know when. We can always do it.
Yeah, let's definitely do it again soon. Again, he's Eric Sullivan. I'm Chris Phillips. We appreciate you guys tuning in, and we'll catch you next time on the episode of the Spurs Up Show.